Good morning, witches. Hopefully my cats do not destroy this video as well. Hi, it's Nova. I'm here for lesson number 1 of our brand new series. Yay! Sitting here with my coffee at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, but on wizard time, it's always coffee time. So, here we go. This first lesson is going to cover the 5 senses. And I know that you're probably thinking, wow, I already know what those are. Thanks for the kindergarten lesson. But we have to start somewhere. And this being a 100 video, you do have to sit through kindergarten if you want to learn from the ground up, my buddies. So, the 5 senses. While I was writing the script for this video, it completely forgot the last one, which was smelling. So that's how well my brain is working today. So the 5 senses: sight, hearing, taste, touch, and smelling, which I forgot about the first time around. And before we talk about their corresponding clairsense, I do want to deep dive into the 5 senses. So this incarnation as a human being on this planet is to experience things. That being said, you're here to collect as much information as possible on how a physical body experiences things. Again, this might sound really silly, but it will help you immensely in your meditation later on. It will help you immensely in your manifestations, in your visualizations. And I know that we talked about last time, this is for people who aren't ready or don't seem to be able to visualize things yet, and that is true. So, we are going to come into our body, as painful as that is sometimes. I have DID. I'm usually not in my body at all. 90% of the time. Right now, I'm not in my body. I don't know where I am. I'm here doing this video, and I'm going to find it later, and I'm going to go, oh, apparently I did a video. There's dogs outside in my apartment, and the cats don't seem to be worried, so I'm not worried. So, we are going to get really comfy, deep-seated in our body. And I'm not saying that the dissociation is a bad thing. A lot of times you don't have control over it. And that's why meditating was really, 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 really hard for me for a very long time. Because as soon as I start to meditate, I start to dissociate into the place that I would just go hang out the entirety of my childhood, which made it really hard to focus on stuff that is happening in the present. So, you may be familiar with the exercise that goes, name 5 things you can see and 4 things you can hear. I definitely recommend downloading the Finch app. It is a self-care app, and you can put in whatever goals you like. It's super cute as well. I'm not sponsored, but I mean, I could be. It's super cute as well. I don't pay for the premium version, but the premium version has a lot more options and a lot more categories for self-care stuff. There's nightly stuff, whatever. But there is a little meditation timer in there, and if you pay for the other version, you can get longer. That's the air fryer going off. You can get longer meditation time sessions, and it unlocks a bunch of other sounds as well. So the free version, I think, comes with 2 different sounds. It's like a water sound and a forest sound. And we will get into building your mental worlds, the upkeep of your mental mansions at some other point. But to begin with, it's really low-key timed system that you can do through that app. Definitely recommend. The point is that they also do the 5 things you can see, 4 things you can hear system to help with panic attacks. And I have a hard time getting back into my body with that practice, but hopefully, maybe it works for other people. That would be lovely for you. So that's what we're going to be focusing on. So lesson number 1, I hope everybody brought a journal. Everybody brought a journal and a nice gel pen, because That is lesson number 1. One thing that I really regret not having done when I started out was taking notes. I'm the kind of person that sat in the front of the class. I took notes all the time, color coded them, got straight A's. Okay. But when you are starting out, even if you give up after 3 videos, you bought candles and crystals and whatever and gave up and were disinterested in 5 minutes, write a journal, write notes. And it does not have to be fancy. We're going to get to that in another video. The reason that it's fun is because stuff is fancy, and that is real. And though the kindergarten version of this is going to be pretty bare bones, don't forget to have fun with it. And so if you want to get a journal that has, wizard stars and whatever on it, that makes you feel cool and magical, do that. Get fancy magic pens and, a feather. Do all of that. This is my spirit guide notebook, and I've just put some washi tape on the front and the back. It's kind of glittery. But I have a ton of notebooks, and there's nothing wrong with having too many, but I'm a Virgo, so get a notebook. Write down what I have written down right here. The 5 senses. You might not be able to read this. The camera might be flipped. The 5 senses. Write down your 5 senses. Sitting right where you are, do the silly thing. 5 things you can see. 4 things you can hear. Or better yet, do 5 things in each category. That's what I like to do also, because I think it's kind of weird when you get to taste and you're like, I'm not eating anything, so I can really only taste the inside of my mouth. Whatever. And maybe for a little while, wander around your world and write down what you see. Because when it gets to the visualization and the meditation stuff later on, and even developing your clairs, it is going to be extremely helpful for you to know what stuff looks, smells, feels like in this physical world, so that you can take that information that you're getting in your brain and translate it back out. So write down the way things look. Become a poet. Write down the colors of the sun, the colors of the clouds, adjectives, beautiful flowing adjectives. Write poetry about your world. Have some comfort food that you've had 5,000 times and explain it to someone that doesn't have taste buds. Do the same thing with what you hear, music. I have synesthesia, so music is a whole thing unto itself. Maybe you do too. If you listen to a song and it brings up images and emotional feelings and stuff like that, write it down. Because if you think that you have no gifts right now, you go back through your notebook 2 years, 3 years later, and you're like, oh, back in 2019, I wrote down, I feel this way when I listen to this song, and so and so and so. And you'll go, well, that makes entire sense because I learned this other thing about myself, and that really tracks. And especially with the journal that I have, sometimes I'll go back to specific days and I'll read exactly what I needed to hear today. So that'll happen too. So look at things deeply, touch things, smell stuff. If you be weird, if you don't know what your favorite tree smells like, maybe you should sit there with your favorite tree and don't be super weird. Don't get in trouble, okay? Sit with your favorite tree and just take in everything that your physical senses allow you to take in, so that, heaven forbid, you live 2,000 miles away from your favorite tree in the world, but you know exactly what it feels like to walk into the forest and find your favorite tree again, and you know what it feels like to climb up into your favorite branch, and you know exactly what the scene is, looking this way and that way and this way, and you know what the branches look like above you, and you know what the bark feels like on your hands, and you can smell the pine needles. That information is incredibly valuable. So just start taking notes. Engage all of your senses as often as you can spare them. I know that we're in an incredibly chaotic world, especially living in the US. There isn't a lot of time to do this stuff. People preach a lot about being present and then don't really know what that means. So sit in one place, no visualization needed, and just find everything that is red in this room. Find everything that is black in this room. And then you'll start to look at stuff differently. I also recommend take pictures. Flood your Instagram with as many beautiful or shitty pictures as you can. Outdoor pictures, pictures of your pets, pictures of food that you eat, and just you start to train your eye to see beauty in the mundane things. Start listening to music that you've never had an interest in before. Put on some really nice headphones and pick out the different pieces: guitar, bass, drums, vocals. What do those things feel like? Would you be able to recognize one guitarist from another guitarist if you just put on headphones and were handed a song from an album that you know the artist of, but you don't know the album of, and you'd be like, oh yeah, that's that one guy. I'm not telling you to be amazing overnight, but start somewhere. And if it has to be anywhere, start here. Writing stuff down, engaging your senses. You know that thing where they tell you you can look at any surface and for some reason your tongue knows how it would feel? But start doing that with other body parts. Again, don't be weird. If you look at the window and you know exactly what it would feel like to touch it, or what it would feel like on your face, or you look at the branches of a tree and you know exactly what they would feel like, that is powerful. So start there. Welcome to our first class of Witchcraft 100, the five senses. I hope this was somewhat valuable to you, even if perhaps a little boring. Next time, we're going to learn about the clair senses that are attached to these five physical senses and how we can engage those or figure out which ones work for us the best based on which one of these work for us the best, and how to kind of use them interchangeably until, ideally, you're able to rise above and feel either both at once, all of them at the same time, on our journey of becoming enlightened and realizing that we are indeed souls having a physical experience, not humans having a soulful experience. Till next time, friends.